Hey, what's up, YouTube? How y'all doing today? All right, so today I got my godmom, the wonderful Miss Tasha here. So we wanted to talk a little bit about, how to manage work-life balance and how to avoid burnout at the job and losing yourself to your job. And currently, 2025 makes 9 years I've been at my place of employment, and um,
30 years for me
work.
at job one, and then 12 at job two.
Right, so I feel like, we got enough experience to speak to it. So, have you ever been, throughout your career, have you ever been at a point where you felt like overburnt out or like you may have been somewhat losing yourself to your job
Last year,
last year?
and I think it probably was going on prior to that, but last year is when I fully acknowledged it. Put it like that.
Oh,
That's when I acknowledged it and understood that I had lost myself. A lot of time had lapsed. I missed a lot of things running between jobs, and that it was time to make some changes. So I began to look at saying no and
right.
learning how to tell people that I can't do certain things, learning how not to pick up as much time at the part-time job, and learning not to overextend myself at my current job because they'll look for you to do everything and you burn yourself out that way as well.
Right, because it's almost like a double-edged sword. Like you trying to, make as much money as you can, taking overtime, and
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes it come at the cost of your peace. So I was at a point in time where I was dealing with that as well. I was trying to run up a lot of money to save up for buying my first house, um, but at the same time, I work in transportation, so you out on the road, so you dealing with eating all types
Yeah.
of bad things you shouldn't
Right.
be eating.
Right.
Long story short, so I end up gaining a whole lot of weight, like a lot, blowing up, and I pretty much lost myself. So it got to a point I'm like, geez, man, I need to. Son gotta give, I gotta take less overtime, make more
Right.
trips to the gym. So that's where the balance come in. You gotta find a middle ground. If you making more money is causing you to be depressed,
Right.
is it worth it at that point in time? You might have to dial it back, or at least take a different approach. Like instead of picking up more shifts, maybe you could try making money in another way that suits your happiness. Like if you have a talent or a skill or something that you could maybe monetize, you could look at um, different ways. But what I find is, and I like to get your opinion on it, is that a lot of time, like people, they kind of almost like give their job like a say so in their life. Like it's like if it's like your job shouldn't dictate around certain things that's going on in your life.
Right.
I feel like, and I caught myself kind of being caught up in the mix of that. Have that somewhat happened to you at all?
Kind of, sort of. So you can become overly committed to your job. Um, and it's for different reasons. So with my part-time job, the overcommitment was me learning how to, I call myself maximizing my, or monetizing my skill set by creating a training program.
Right.
And okay, so now I can pick up more hours. But with that commitment came less time with my family. And then when you look at it, the bills are going to keep running up. So you're never catching up. You're never catching up. So now I'm overly committed to this training program that I call myself designing to get more money.
Right.
And now everybody's reaching out to me, and I'm doing too much at the job, and that became a burden as well. And like you said, the weight gain, not eating properly, eating on the go, because you're running back and forth, grabbing
Right.
things from a drive-through, anything that you can do, so that you can get to this next place that you have committed yourself to. Um, I think with full-time jobs, a lot of times people commit and the job sort of runs their lives, but it's usually when they want to get to another level there. So they're trying to show that, you know, I'm fully committed to you and to the task at hand, and I'm trying to advance. So they kind of do a little too much in order to get to the next level there.
So do you think that it's important that people may kind of set like a roadmap or like a game plan for the place that they are employed? Because I feel like a lot of times the burnout feeling come from, like you said, feeling overcommitted, and like there's not reciprocity from the job standpoint. So with that, I feel like, you know, people kind of don't realize how to kind of use the job as a stepping stone. Like instead of a stepping stone, it becomes like they limb, like the leg that they stepping with. Like you don't want your job to be the legs that you're walking with. You want it to be something that you using to level you up. At least that's my opinion and take on it. And a lot of time people make their job become their physical like being, meaning like if it wasn't this, like they really feel like they lost the limb, like you know, like they can't move.
So I feel like it can be a generational thing as well. So one of the things that I love about the younger population in your age range is that you guys get it from the beginning. So with my age, we were about getting a city or state job and getting your pension, and you sort of stay stuck, even if it was in a space that it wasn't a lot of room to advance. You would just stay because you know you're getting your pension, the benefits are good. Those are the things that they talked about back then. But with your generation, I love the fact that you guys see it from the beginning. For the most part, you see it and you try not to stay in these spaces and make that job become your limb. You're looking to advance, and if that means you're leaving this job, then y'all are gonna go and find something better. So it's a generational thing as well.
I also feel like there's more readily available information out there as well, which is why I feel like, especially in today's age, that you know people should be very wary of overindulging their emotions to where they making money at, because you go on YouTube or you know these other social platforms, you can find a way to make you some money. So you shouldn't feel like if you lose this that it's everything, you know.
Right, but so with, well, you have more responsibility than somebody who doesn't have a family or you know, have any property or anything. But for people, there are certain people who just lost my train of thought.
Well, I guess essentially the position. I feel like a good position that I feel like people take note to is that, like, you know, you wanna kind of like, a fair exchange is not a robbery, as the saying goes. So you feel like the burnout feel, and I was there, and this is where I kind of was saying when I lost myself, like, you know, the feel of being burnt out or like you're being taken advantage of comes from when you're not, you know, getting your payout from the exchange. So they say a fair exchange is not a robbery. So while your job is, I guess, not necessarily using you, or while you're feeling used by your job, you know, it's your duty to, in one way or another, you know, kind of get your lick in.
I lost my train of thought on that one. But no, you're right. You're right. But it's, again, I think it goes back to that generational piece. A lot of older people are not going to jump on YouTube and figure out. Sometimes we can't figure out how to do certain things that the younger demographic can, and you guys are going to make a way. There are many people who are older now who say, look, I have to find something else. But you know why? Because we're nearing retirement. We're seeing that those pensions are not enough. They're not going to be enough for us, so we have to find something else to do. So we're beginning to access those spaces that you guys have already figured out. So I don't know, it's tough out here for everybody. You sort of end up stuck. You end up stuck in a space that says, do I stay where I am to pay the bills, or do I exit this space and begin to add something else on my plate by trying to start a business or do something different so that I can get out of this hole that I'm in. But then you still have to pay your bills. So we can't just throw it all away and go over here to start something new. It's a really tough space to be in.
Right. And it's also important knowing the advantage of, you know, being mistreated, taken advantage of, or I feel like some people are lazy. Like it's as simple as that. Like, you know, you feel like
lazy and they're okay where they are.
Right. So like if you say, oh, I want to leave my job, and it's not like real reason, because that's also becoming popular. Like people, oh, I want to quit my job to do this or that. Mm-hmm. Like you say, it got to be some type of balance. So I'm talking to the folks who like really burnt out, like fully engulfing, like losing they self. Like I'm telling you, I done gained about 70, 80 pounds just trying to work out, eating this and that. And you stop, you think like, oh wow. And it's, you know, it's people really, like I said, they working in unfair work environments and dealing with work discriminations and real things. I'm speaking to those situations is where, in order to not feel robbed, you know, squeeze your little licking where you can. You know, you read your handbook, you read the rules, and you find the legal loopholes. Just like as far as, like, to make an analogy, like you have a lot of millionaires and billionaires who make a lot more revenue than the working class, but because they understand the tax code, or at least they can pay for professionals that have an over understanding of the tax code, they're able to find the loopholes to where they may be paying less than somebody they make 20 times more money than, because they figured it out. So it's the same way with your handbooks and the rules at your job. You go in there, you find the loopholes, and hey, you make it you make it work for you.
But I'm also glad that you touched on just even not just finding the loopholes there, but figuring out what you can do that mirrors the job that you're currently doing, because that'll make it that much easier. So when you can maximize your current skill set, whatever capacity you're working in as your full time, then you have already pretty much mastered whatever it took to do that job. If you can figure out a way to monetize that, that's a lot better than running to another job, a part-time job that you have to learn again. You have to leave your home and go over to this space. It's a lot, and I think it's confusing for people. I think it's tough for people, and even to get back to the piece about people possibly being lazy, that can be true, but I feel like those may be the ones who they just complain all the time with little to no action. Right. So that's just to clarify that point.
Right.
So that's the little to no action. But I think that it's time for people to start doing things differently. And even with my age range, people who are soon to retire, like I am, I have 4 years to go technically. You need to start figuring out what you want to do now, because most of us have to do something else. So in order to not get to that last day of work and next month you're like, oh, my pension hasn't kicked in yet and I need to go get another job somewhere, we need to be figuring it out now and working towards whatever it is that we want to do post-retirement.
Right. And I feel like you touched on something very important, and I actually mentioned it in a previous video. Understanding or having a well understanding of, you know, the skills you're using in the task, in your day-to-day task, and like understand how to develop them and how to them for like extrapolate it and transition it and maybe put it somewhere else. Because if you're working for a logistics company and you're doing you know, receiving or shipping or something like that, you know, that may be something that you can do, either for yourself or for a different company. So a lot of people, they just receive these tasks and they don't fully understand actually what they're using, what they're learning. Like a general one is customer service. But customer service is kind of deep because customer service, that's also your interpersonal skills, which translate into your ability to network, which translates into how you speak and carry and hold a conversation. So when you're in these life and work situations, you have to kind of sometimes stop and assess what it is that's going on and understand what you're taking or should be taking from this. Like, oh, I've been in this position for the last 2 years. Like, I didn't even realize I was learning how to do this. Oh, wow. So that's just something that, I feel like it's important that people to take note of, because if you're developing these skills, while the burnt out feeling may come in, you won't feel as lost, because at the end of the day, you know that the exchange is you're taking a set of skills that is valuable elsewhere.
Right. And don't be afraid of the skill set by thinking that it's not valuable, right? So when we think about even working in a clerical component, there's not a job on earth that doesn't have a clerical component. You can easily translate those skills into pretty much everything.
Right.
Everything. But I don't think that people know that it's value in it, because I didn't realize that. So because it comes easy to the person that's doing it, that sort of mastered it, you don't think that there's money that can be made in it elsewhere. But there are tons of people who don't know how to do back office work.
Right, yeah.
And they need your support.
Right. Yeah, I agree. That's why I mentioned customer service, because I feel like it's a skill that you need in your first jobs, where people generally aren't taking it as serious. So, if you working at, even if it's somewhere like a fast food restaurant or anywhere, it's important that you respect and where you at in the position you in, and not think like, oh well, this is just a job at McDonald's or here or there. Like, no, you got to look at it like, well, even if I don't like this job that I'm at right now, this is a skill set that the job that I will like will also require from me. So I should be taking it serious right now.
And you never know who you will meet in those spaces. So that customer service and speaking to people, when it'll take you a long way. It helps you with networking. It helps you probably land your next job. You don't know who's walking into that space, who you make an impact on, just by being nice, respectful, cordial, using that customer service. Yeah, that's definitely an important skill set to have and to pay attention to, and know that you can utilize it in other spaces outside of your current place of employment.
Right. How important you think is self-care when possibly going through a period of burnout at the job? Like maybe something as simple as, it could be going to therapy or going to get a massage or going for a walk.
It's funny that you say that, because we have a wellness center that I created at my full-time job. Okay. And the room has massage chairs, it has proper lighting, you name it, it's in there. It's not, it has a large beanbag chair, so it has all of the amenities and all of the things that you would need to go in and sort of unwind, because I understand the importance of people burning out. They burn out in the workplace, they burn out outside of the workplace. Not everyone can afford to even pay to go get a massage or get some wellness. Right. So we have it at the job. It is one of the most important things. You have to turn your brain off after a while.
Right.
You absolutely do. In therapy, it's tough. Some people will rather go sit in a space and just have total silence. Right. Because I'm like that. I'm perfectly okay just sitting and doing nothing and not hearing anything but the birds chirping or whatever is on that sound machine. Because with therapy, you have to open your mouth.
Right.
And sometimes you can get so deep that it's like, you're digging a hole in your gut, and that's causing more problems.
Right.
So either or, people they have to pick which one they feel is best for them, but you need to do something.
Right.
We cannot let a job run us into the ground.
Right. You have to find the reset button and knowing when to push it.
Yep. Absolutely.
All right. Well, we appreciate you guys for tuning in for this conversation. And until next time, thank you.